Hey everybody, welcome back to Roosters on Olentangy River Road in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. This is Lettermen Live. We are in the Lettermen Lounge, which has been updated with some new pictures.
Yes.
It's pretty in here now.
There used to be a picture of Craig Krenzel up here.
We're working on that, Craig.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to let it slide, but
now we've got this guy with the elbow pad.
Well, when you come once a month, you don't really get a picture up here.
I come when invited. I don't know what you want me to say.
You're always invited.
That's Justin Zwick, who's right behind me here. Bobby Carpenter, who's now up there. Craig Krenzel back, and Nicole Cox from Roosters hosting us. Come on in, bring the food.
Yeah, bring it.
Oh, there
Let's
we
get
go.
it. Let's get it rolling. We're getting ready.
Thanks, Jenny.
Cheesy bacon wedges.
There they are. That is this week's
Do not put
appetizer
ranch
Tuesday
in front of
Those
me.
do look really
for
good.
$2. Cheesy bacon wedges. They are fantastic. We're gonna definitely tear into those.
Yeah.
We're also gonna get into the spring forecast. Last week we talked about the offense at Lettermen Row. So we're gonna dive into that now that the Buckeyes have a spring practice confirmed. It will start on March 19th. We're going to get into all that and then talk a lot about the quarterbacks. Jay-Z dropped a pretty nice hint last week about what it's like to compete for that job and the experiences that those two guys down there have had when you're battling with your brother, maybe mixing it up from time to time. We'll get into that in the second part of the show. But we need to understand why there's an elbow pad here, why Bobby has such a huge face mask. These are definitely old school pictures now.
Well, they are.
They're definitely old school pictures.
I mean, that's back when people ran the ball 40 times. We played Iowa, we played Wisconsin, we played Michigan, we played Penn State. Purdue and Northwestern were spread teams. Everyone else hey, we're just going to line up and run the football.
Oh, yeah.
So you wore a bigger face mask. I may or may not have got my eye socket shattered after my freshman season. So they told me if you sustain a substantial eye blow, either due to a gouge or something happening, you may lose vision in your right eye. So that's a bad deal. So
that's
we're
definitely a bad deal.
We're going to give you this visor and we're going to give you this big face mask cage to protect your face.
But here's the good news: you can look at pictures or you can watch games on TV, and generationally there's changes. So we still ran the ball back then, right, Bob? But you don't have a neck roll on.
No.
There's no neck roll. Your pads are a little bit smaller.
Schlegel wore only one neck roll per linebacker room. No Schlegs.
Yeah, your pads are still smaller than Spiels wore.
Oh, yeah.
And you definitely look far more athletic than those guys did. But not as athletic as they look now.
No.
That guy looks pretty athletic. That's all I'm saying.
What is this?
It's Big Ben.
When you throw the ball so much, there's no pad on that. There is just
a cool sleeve.
It's just a sleeve. It helped with my elbow from throwing so much. You had a lot of tenderness in there.
Yeah,
there might
really aired it out.
I just want to go on record.
That was from high school, anyways. Yeah, that stayed with me. It was just one of those things you get used to wearing something and you just keep doing it.
Hey, look good, play good.
Well, it was kind of that.
I'll just go on record. I never had that problem of having to throw the ball too much, so I didn't need the elbow sleeve.
Unfortunately, neither did I. At Ohio State.
that was a different era. The post-Trestle era.
But you could have seen
play
maybe
action pass.
Craig with a neck roll, though, how much he used to run the ball.
Yeah, no doubt. He was the leading rusher.
The original dual threat right there.
Exactly.
That's where it all started.
Credit for that.
Everything changed.
It was Krenzel, and then Pryor came in. Troy took over.
You're welcome, Braxton.
Yeah. There's no Braxton Miller without him. There's no JT Barrett. There's no quarterback power here if you don't have Craig Krenzel. We're going to talk a lot about those quarterbacks later on, but with Nicole in here, and the fact that we can talk about football with it being about 10 days away till practice starts, we're going to be back into the Buckeye Leaves that we do every week on Lettermen Live. Guys that are going to shine in spring. Nicole, you've been quiet so far. I know you're just sitting on some information. Who needs to emerge? Who are you looking at as we head into spring camp next week?
Well, I know I sound like a broken record when it comes to this, but having Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson back, they were rated number 1 and number 2 for returning wide receivers.
That's pretty good.
That's amazing. So it's just to have the number 1 and number 2 is just phenomenal. So I'm definitely going to give those guys my Buckeye Leaves, and I was so impressed with just their entire what they did last year. They were phenomenal. They were almost breaking records. They were stars.
We're going to do the defense next week, guys, just so I can make that clear. So
okay, good.
Bobby's going to have to work a little hard. But I think that's a crazy stat that you were bringing up, Nicole, with Pro Football Focus had them number 1 and number 2 in the country. Not that – so a lot of times you just see, well, who's got the best receiving tandem coming back? Ohio State's obviously going to have that. That's individual, number 1 and number 2. I can't even think of any parallel for that. That's such a crazy stat. Brian Hartline's got that room really rolling right now. Craig, who you got? Who do you need to shine this spring?
A quarterback. Is that too easy?
Save that.
Is that too easy of an answer? I think because of what we're going to be having to do in replacing a quarterback. I don't want to steal Nicole's thunder, but I'm going to go with just Chris Olave, right? Just because he has been, I think, a little more dependable. I think a little more consistent. Garrett Wilson's always been a little flashier, obviously a little faster, athletic, can make the dazzling plays kind of guy.
Yeah.
But Chris Olave and that stability that he's going to have to bring to that offense to work in a new quarterback, I think it's paramount. I think it's paramount that they start to feel that comfort level, being able to depend on him this spring.
Jay-Z.
What's the Buckeye Leaf for? Just somebody we're expecting to have a good spring.
Or needs to have one.
Or needs to have one.
Either way you want to take it.
Well, I'm expecting Mayan Williams to be a name that comes out of spring as somebody who maybe takes that step as we're looking who's going to be the guy. I mean, it started off last year. Master was the guy. And then towards the end of the season, we saw your boy kind of take over, and he is now gone. So there's kind of that, what's going to happen here? Master's probably saying, this is my rock. But, I remember watching mine play in high school and just thinking, man, this kid, he's not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, but he's just hard to tackle. He's hard to bring down. And we saw
a meatball, man.
Yeah, we saw it a little bit towards the end of last year. He got some carries and, looked pretty good. And I expect him to have a big spring.
He definitely would have played in that title game too, if not for COVID issues. That running back battle, I think, is one of the most interesting on the entire team.
Yeah, I think we have a 5-star coming in that will be there, right, too.
Travion Henderson, Evan Pryor coming in. They're both on campus. You've got Mayan Williams, Marcus Crowley now. He got, after 14 months off with the knee injury, he'll be back out there. He played in the title game. Tells you a lot if you haven't played a game in over a year that the coaching staff puts you out there.
Or you just don't have anybody else.
That's also part of it. I mean,
mine was in Columbus because he had COVID.
Mayan Williams would have been first. I think, we know that. And then, we have Master Teague, and Nicole's talked about him a lot and the way he's tough to bring down at the goal line. So he's been in the program a long time. It's a big spring for him too, because he's got some new competition coming for him, and that competition breeds excellence.
Yes.
And he's got to be hungry after the way kind of the season ended, you would feel, right? I mean, you were the guy, and then Sermon comes in and kind of takes over that spot from you. So he's probably feeling pretty hungry coming into the spring, and wants to cement himself as the starter. But we'll see. It's a heck of a room they have there, that's for sure.
They really do. And then one of the positions that I'm going to look at, a little bit different, and it was pretty unique if you look at what Ohio State did last year with Luke Farrell and Jeremy Ruckert. They used a lot of two tight end stuff, and that really helped them against Clemson. They utilized a little bit against Bama, not obviously near as effective, but nobody runs two tight end stuff anymore. No. So if you have two guys that are athletic, that are flexible, that can
give you a good block if needed.
That's what I'm saying, that they can actually block, and then you can split out. Rucker's athletic enough, you can put him outside, you can move him around, and he's a tough matchup. And so Cade Stover, and the emergence of him, flipping over from linebacker to tight end, they talked about his leadership. The guy's a grinder in the weight room, grinder on and off the field. And so that's always key to make sure that your guys are invested. And so it'll be a big spring for him. The first time really getting into this, having an opportunity to get in there in some of those 12 personnel, one back, two tight end sets, and to give Ohio State this flexibility, because Ryan Day has shown that, I'm just not going to talk about using the tight end. I'll actually throw it to him. I'll get a couple of them on the field. We're
just not going to recruit really good ones. We're going to actually use them when they get here.
They had 3 touchdowns against Clemson. I mean, they're going
in the first half
dial some stuff up for them, and so that's exciting. But to have that opportunity, you have to have those guys that you can play, and you have to trust them.
Nicole, who did I say I was going to pick?
You were going to pick Cade Stover.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
Just
Bob
jump it in.
Steal.
I should have just gone for it. Because I think that the Luke Farrell loss is a much bigger deal than it might be getting credit for. You talked about the use of the 12 personnel and 2 tight end sets. I think the last time I saw this number, it was before the title game. It was close to 35% of the snaps they were using it. A lot more often than you'd think, just because they don't catch the football a lot. They're so important to the rushing attack. And Luke Farrell, you're not going to find a tight end who can do much better than that with what he gave there.
No one wants a loose end. You want a tight end.
That's absolutely correct. You don't want to cut that string. Then you're down to 10 guys. So I think that Cade Stover, that's a good one. The other guys that are going to be there, Joe Royer, he's got 1 year in the program, but didn't get many opportunities didn't have a spring, didn't have any. I can't remember him being on the field really last year. Sam Hart, an early enrollee. So that tight end position, you know what you have in Jeremy Ruckert, right, Nicole? This guy could be one of the best in the country.
Yes. He will. He's the number 1 returning tight end in the country, which is amazing.
Yeah, and you got to throw him the football, right? Stoney's not here to beg for it, but you guys know that a tight end can be a quarterback's best friend.
And your worst enemy.
Maybe
I'm
Maybe I
kidding.
shouldn't have been looking at you,
I'm
Jay.
kidding. I had to. Because I love the tight ends. They were my friends back in the day when I played. No doubt about it.
Whoops.
Oh, no salt in that wound right there.
Boy. How important is this spring, guys? Don't get away from Jay-Z. I mean, he came in feisty today. Last year at this time, I was talking about how much I was looking forward to it and I was ready for football. And, I don't know if players get as excited for those 15 workouts as maybe I do, just because I'm ready to get some information, see them play. But then you take it away from them last year and you only get the three workouts 1 week and then you pull the plug. I felt like that was a much bigger deal. So how critical is this camp?
I think it's a very critical because if you look outside of just losing the spring, like a lot of development's done during camp, and even some of the guys, younger guys are getting better during the season. They didn't have that opportunity last year. It was disjointed, contact tracing, and your guy missed a couple weeks. I mean, they're just plugging and playing. So coaches just figuring out how can we get these guys on the field.
You didn't have everybody together, right? There's different groupings.
Oh yeah, different groupings so you had no team camaraderie. You're not really feeling that same unity that you used to have. And then also the skill development takes a back seat for young guys when you're just trying to win every game, and having enough guys eligible to be able to play in the games, not academically, but COVIDly, if you will.
Yeah.
Making sure that they can be out there, taking the young guys and saying, hey, we need to work on this technique. You did it like this in high school just because you were better than everybody. Now we need to tighten this up a little bit. And that stuff just, you try to do it and coaches want to do it, but ultimately it's like, okay, I got to focus on the older guys and just make sure that they're ready to go and we know what to do each and every game. So the skill development this year is going to be critically important during spring to catch some of those young guys up who didn't have, even if they were enrolled early, you didn't have the spring, you didn't really have the summer 7-on-7s to work on stuff. And then camp was like, stop, start.
Not going to have a season.
Yeah.
And then, oh, no, hey, we are going to play.
And so a lot of the time when you would normally be doing skill work, it's like, hey, we got to make sure our guys, we're not working them too much. We're getting them ready. We don't want to burn them out because normally you have your normal tapering process where you kind of ease them in. I mean, this was gas break, gas break, gas break. I mean, it was a disaster for Ricky Marotti in trying to get these guys ready. And so everything else got shortchanged.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at spring ball, it's kind of one of those things. There's like two different versions of spring ball, right? There's the spring ball where you're a freshman, you're a sophomore, or maybe a junior, in your third year or something, and you got to go compete. And then there's the spring ball where you're on the field.
Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, those guys, they're not doing anything this spring. But everything that Bob just talked about, you threw it out there earlier. When you're at a place like Ohio State or Clemson or Alabama, top programs in the country, it is all about competition. And some of these young guys have not been given a chance to really show what they can do and go out there and compete because of everything Bob just referenced. So, I think this spring more than any other spring is going to be very critical to see. Some of these young guys that didn't see the field or didn't see the field too much, what are they capable of? Let's let them go. Let's give them time, give them reps. It looks like we're going to have a full schedule as of right now, knock wood, cross fingers, whatever. But get those guys a chance to be seen.
Yeah, which is what coming last year, you talked about how you were excited, because we had all those freshman receivers coming in, right? And it's like, how are they going to gel with Justin Fields, this guy who's coming back? The first time Ryan Day's had a quarterback 2 years in a row. And then flip it to now, that didn't happen. Now you got three, because the third quarterback's here, right?
Yes. Yeah, McCord.
Yeah, so you got three young quarterbacks, and you still have all these young receivers. So, I mean, this is probably a bigger year than last year just because the quarterback position. You had a guy who knew the system, knew what he wanted, and you had him there, so he was able to kind of weather that storm of being on, being off, type of thing. With three young QBs having to decide or having to let these guys get these 15 practices is going to be huge. And then seeing who emerges that can kind of gel with these, wideouts and these young kids is going to be big. So it's a big spring practice for these guys, and I'm excited to watch these quarterbacks play.
And so to kind of dovetail off that, you mentioned last year you had an established quarterback and established receivers essentially returning. This year you have established receivers returning, but you have a new quarterback. So a lot of times you'll dial down their reps, but you still want to make sure that those guys are getting reps to develop that cohesion and the understanding.
It can't just all be young guys and young guys. You're going to have the vets in there.
Because they need to be on the same page. So it's going to be trying to balance, get the young guys reps and make sure that the older guys, the guy that's throwing you the ball, which is going to be really interesting because when you're doing, the three-way quarterback battle,
It's not easy.
It's tough to get reps in there.
That's going to be a tough balancing act. And you talked about those receivers, and we only saw a glimpse of them last year because of just the way things worked out. Nicole, I know that you've got a couple more of those guys circled that you're looking for big things that you didn't even squeeze into your Buckeyes. You could have been like Schlegs and just taken
The whole team
I
went
usually do
position
that,
by
guys.
position.
I'm all about just giving
Yeah.
the Buckeye Leaves to everyone because I give A's for effort. I love that. That's how I do.
like it.
But I think Jackson Smith and Jigba and Julian Fleming are going to also be people we need to be watching just because, they didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but when they did, Fleming stepped up in, the huge action-packed game of the Big Ten title game. And so, I feel like we need to keep an eye on them and hopefully get to see more of them playing this
how
year
about
as well.
that touchdown for Jackson.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was top 10. That was one of the top 10 catches of the year.
Yeah,
I
set
think.
The body
man.
control and the precision of his
But I
footing,
feel like
it
that
was
game she's talking about
unreal.
with Fleming, I feel like they forced him the ball quite a bit there in the beginning of that game, if I'm thinking of the right game.
Yeah,
so, I mean, that
it's
shows you something that, hey, this kid's been here for a year. We trust him. Let's try and get the ball in his hands.
And arguably wound up doing it too much because Trey Sermon could have ran for 1,000 yards in that game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But that's neither here
He still
nor
did
there.
okay.
Yeah, it still worked out okay
Yeah.
for the Buckeyes. Nicole, the governor said we've been on good behavior, so the curfew no longer exists. So how does that impact Roosters?
It's amazing. It's been great. And, I think we're, getting used to wearing the masks. And we're so thankful to all of our staff who wear them all day long. But it's been, we're just excited for things to go back to normal.
Big Ten tournament starting this week for the Buckeyes, NCAA tournament coming,
Yes.
and you can stay here longer.
And we need to stop
Yes.
talking about
Oh.
basketball
I would just
because
get here
they've
early.
lost every week we've talked about it.
Yes.
It's because Jay-Z was watching.
Hey,
Sorry, I watched yesterday too. Dang it.
60 degrees this week in Columbus. We got
Yes.
the patios here
Yes.
too, Nicole. So
Yes.
get outside, explore the space.
That's right.
So basketball coming if you want to watch that starting. I don't know if the NCAA tournament will be completely normal, but got games going on all day.
Be all
starting
week
next
long,
week.
right?
Big Ten tournament, appetizer Tuesday.
Appetizer Tuesday, dine-in only. But yes,
Yes,
appetizer
dine-in
Tuesday. Jay-Z reminded me.
Bill Zwick found that out the hard way. If you're watching, I got you the answer.
But load up. Maybe we can work on that. We know some people at Roosters. Give you some special discounts or some coupon codes for the Zwick family. All right. Anything else, Nicole? Before we let you get out of here?
Thank you guys for having me, and
All right.
thank you for being here.
All right. We're going to take a quick break right here at Roosters. We'll be right back.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back to Roosters for a fun, casual conversation at a fun, casual joint, digging into these cheesy cheesy bacon wedges. Fantastic, as always. And we're going to talk about quarterbacks and quarterback battles. We touched on it. We're trying not to dive too far into it because I wanted this segment you guys to dive into it. And we're probably going to be talking about these three guys for the next 6-7 months, 2-3 years. I don't know. It's going to be a while. You've got C.J. Stroud and Jack Miller. They did not get the freshman year that they envisioned. They got a taste of experience. They got to spend some time in the program and learn with Corey Dennis and Kevin Wilson and Ryan Day. Didn't get to throw a pass last season. I know that's a stat that's out there a lot about the inexperience for this team. And now you have Kyle McCord, the 5-star early enrollee out there to compete. You two down there have been through it. And, Bobby, you've watched a lot of these things transpire and been in the locker room. What will this be like for Ohio State in the spring?
It'll be a fierce competition. I mean, it's one of those things where, that it's. I think it's probably the number one thing that I love about competitive athletics in general, but especially when you look at college football and the dynamics of a locker room. And I mean, you got guys that are figuratively trying to rip each other's throats out for that one spot on the field, or one of 2 or 3 spots on the field, depending on your position. So deep down, I mean, these guys are going to be battling. But what's awesome about it is they're going to be fighting for not only for their own career, but also for what's best for the program. And, I think when you look at this group, I mean, obviously there's a ton of talent. I mean, it's Ohio State, right? I mean, there's 3 talented dudes there. And what I'm most excited about is watching Ryan Day coach these guys. You know, actually seeing their development. What do they look like this spring? We didn't get a chance to really see anything last year. And that's not uncommon going into a season anyway, you know, for freshmen. But, you know, when we get a chance to see these guys and you know, Coach Day gets a chance to watch these guys and break down film and actually get to spend time coaching them, as Bob mentioned earlier, not just prepping for games and getting Justin Fields ready to go win a national title, you know, but now the focus is on quarterback development,
right?
Player development, taking their skill set, you know, really bringing it into your offense and what you're trying to teach them. You know, I think the biggest thing that we have going for us is not the talent at the position, but I think the coaches that are going to be able to develop these guys.
Yeah, it's just I'm really looking forward to seeing how he handles it. I think, you know, the hardest part, and, you know, we've seen this with, you know, you see it all the time with high school kids, but you get 2 or 3 guys who haven't played, you know, at that level, and how do you handle it during practice? Because, you know, as Bob mentioned earlier, it's tough to just get those reps.
Right.
And you want to be with the number 1 team. You want to be with your number 1, you know, receivers, and you want to say, all right, well, I can make that throw as well when I'm with those guys. So how do you rotate 3 to get them a feeling where it's like they come off the practice field like, man, I got better today, instead of, gosh, you know, I was 3rd string with, you know, walk on up front, you know, blah, blah, whatever it may be. So I think it's really hard to get that confidence to build day to day. It's all depending on how they rotate that and how they work it.
And the other interesting part to the dynamic is when you have 3 guys that are that young, that are that close in age in today's era of college football, as a coach, how do you tight walk that line of getting them the reps, keeping them happy, keeping them competing as you begin to pick your guy and then your second guy, right? And then eventually there's going to be a guy who's 3rd sitting, and these guys are basically the same age as me in today's, you know, era of basically free agency in college football. You know, we obviously know 1 or 2 of those guys will not be a Buckeye 2 years from now.
Especially because the number 1 recruit in the country is also committed at quarterback for next cycle. Yeah. So that's a reality. Like, you'd love to keep them all, but we're just got to be honest. That's not going to happen.
With a football in the middle, there's some leeway in the 1, 2, 3 way. So you need to make sure that you understand that when to look at it. But it's interesting because they talk about these different situations. And it's funny, like the defensive perspective of this, like as you're going against guys, because a lot of times they want to do competitive environment, competitive situations, you know, some 2s on 1s and 1s on 2s. But a lot of times, hey, it's good versus good, 1s on 1s. And so, hey, we're working on 3rd downs today. Your first 3rd down period, you know, it's 5 plays, you know, of each group or whatever it might be, or it's 5, 4, and 3 plays of each group. We're doing 3rd mediums, you know, 5 to 7, 5 to 8. Then we got 3rd and long. So, you know, hey, Justin, you're up in, you know, 3rd medium the first time. Then, you know, defensively, you get a rhythm and a feel for what that guy does. And then the next time it's like, all right, well, this guy's in. And then so you just spin them through and you're trying to make sure you can get everybody the same situations. But defensively, you're trying to figure out, okay, who is this guy? What does he do well? Who's in there with him? And you kind of can see that, but like different guys are going to be better in different situations. It's really interesting to see. And so that's what's really tough for coaches to like extrapolate. Well, he won in this, and this. This guy won in this, and this. And, you know, he was good here and here. And, you know, some of the completions or incompletions, are those a function of maybe just a coverage that was called perfectly against that? Maybe a guy ran a wrong route. Maybe a tackle blew a block. Like, there's so many different things that can happen there. It's really hard to be like, well, he went out there, was 4 or 5 and had, you know, 4 first downs. And by the way, you know, his guys did everything they should and he had 1 touchdown, as opposed to 1 of 5, 1 first down. Maybe he had to scramble for something. It's really hard.
Or maybe the 3rd quarterback's overdoing inside drill, just handing the ball off, doing nothing while these guys are doing 1-on-1s or 7-on-7, you know? So you have to split those things up, and you need a quarterback at, you know, in certain, you know, periods. But, you know, I remember just, all right, you always hated drawing that short straw. All right, you got inside today. Damn, you know, I don't want to go do, you know, I don't want to go do inside. This sucks, you know, because you're not even making audibles. It's, all right, we're calling it, or we're handing the ball off. You carry out your fake.
At least these days, an inside, you know.
Well, you're still taking it. Yeah, you're not getting your foot stepped on
a little bit. You're not just there handing the ball off. Like you were.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But you know, those are the things. And then, you know, how does that kid feel? Man, you know, this is the 3rd time this week I had to do inside.
Right.
You know, how does all that work? And it's
Well,
easier said than done when you come up with a plan because you still got the kids you have to deal with.
The area is gray in a 1-2-3-way
It
battle.
is
Bob,
very
so
gray,
and you have to we've heard this before. Like when Ryan Day was having Justin Fields compete, like, well, you're going to play with the ones today, and then the next day the two. Like, there's no other way to. If you're going to make it even for everybody, you have to manage that. And this is the biggest decision. Like Justin Fields was always going to be his starter 2 years ago. As the head coach, this is the biggest decision he's made.
Well, and you look at Urban when he made the decision with Dwayne over Joe, and like, okay, looked at a great decision. Dwayne's a first-round draft pick. Well, Joe ultimately wins the national championship, becomes #1 overall pick. Like
one of the best seasons as a quarterback in college football.
Here's the thing: like sometimes you can't make a wrong decision. It's just going to be like what's kind of right based upon the situation here. I think these guys are all really talented. It'll sting you if like you go with player A or player B, and then like you see the other guys transfer and have great careers as well, and it's like. Is it a little better? Would they have been better here? Is it situation? Is it timing? It's really tough to kind of manage that. And with Justin's point, you may go from when you're going through this battle, like, okay, you have inside today, and then all of a sudden you have to jump into a 3rd and 8. And like 3rd and 8 period, well, I haven't really thrown a ball in the last 15 minutes.
I've handed the ball off for 12 minutes straight.
The last guy, the other two guys were throwing one-on-ones, and then one of them goes and does something else. Well, it's hard for me to have that.
You're putting that on film, and that's one of your reps for the day. Like, shoot, I just came from here.
Why'd that go in the dirt? Well, Coach, I hadn't threw 3 balls in the last 30 seconds, and that was my warm-up.
It's individual. I haven't thrown a ball yet, So it makes it tough.
The managing the guys in the room part. We've heard in the last 10 years how close most of these guys have become. Cardale and JT and Braxton all being great friends, and Dwayne and Joe, even when that battle went that way, that they stayed friends, stayed in communication. Didn't sound like it was always that way for you, Jay-Z. So I wonder, what it's like to be in that situation, because this position is so important. You've talked about the leadership that you feel as a quarterback. There's healthy ego involved in that and competitiveness. I just think that's it's not always going to be easy.
No, it's not. And I'll even say because we went and did the Friday Night Lights a few times when they started that back in the day when Urban got here. They had the kids come in, lights were on, and they had some older players come down and kind of put them through drills and stuff. And I'll never forget just being like, man, these guys seem like they're best friends. Troy and I could have been there and we wouldn't have said a word to each other except for what we had to. Yeah. And now I'll say this: Troy and I, if we see each other today, we're 100% fine. We are friends. But that competition just brings it out of you, and we both wanted that job. We knew there was one position to be had. These guys had all just left. It was going to be our team, and we butted heads and we fought hard for it. And at that point, you let chips fall where they do, and they did. But we never really had that. Yeah, I don't. It just wasn't there, and it's strange. It was strange to me, I guess, the first time I really saw it when I was around Urban, and the players like, man, this is kind of crazy to me. But that's just those guys buying into the the culture, the tradition of what Urban wants his program to be like at that time. And I don't want to say it wasn't there because we had great coaches. We had Joe Daniels is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He was our quarterback coach, but I don't know.
What else is interesting about this, and I don't know if you guys even fully understand it, it's subconsciously you probably did, but also quarterbacks will have different rapport with different receivers. It's based upon your skill set. You may throw certain route tree, parts of the route tree better. Certain receivers run parts of the route tree better than others. So you may start to get associated with receiver A. One guy's a little more with B, and like those guys feel that. You get a sense for that when they're on the field, and so like some of the receivers then in tight ends, whatever it might be, offensive players, like, well, this guy playing will be better for me than the other player. And so you have to, there's a lot of balancing that goes on.
I felt it. I don't know. I mean, Bob, you probably saw it from outside, but at times it almost felt like you want to say the locker room was split, but you definitely had, my guys, felt one way and his guys, and you could kind of sense that in a way. I don't know if the whole team felt it, but I guess probably sitting there saying, all right, well, I got to throw to him too, but he's over here acting like this or that. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into a competition when the locker room is there because everybody's going to have different friends and different parts of the team that they get along with better. And it was a tough competition. And, what are you going to do?
We're not even getting into Craig's competition with Scotty
Well, yeah,
Mack.
Scotty Mack. Yeah.
I had a front seat.
I'm
for-
sure this was.
I had a front seat for that watching that thing battle out.
So
It
the
is
interesting
phenomenal.
about that, but talking about the present situation, I mean, it's a tall order, I think, for Ryan Day, especially given the magnitude of the quarterback position and how important it is on the field. And when the quarterback makes mistakes, they're glaring. Yeah. You choose the wrong guy. You choose a guy that doesn't play well. I mean, it's going to be visible. Game one, series one, right? The first half of the first game,
Right.
I think it's important for Ryan Day and that offensive staff to set expectations, to let those guys know what these rotations are going to be like, what they're looking for. And then when you talk about, Justin, when you talk about the individual guys battling and what those relationships are like, that's personalities.
Yeah.
Right. He talked about him and Troy and how there was that battle, the physical competition, and then the team kind of, these guys thinking Troy, these guys thinking Jay-Z, and that happens often as well. But then, Bob just talks about
Right up Scotty
McLuhan and myself. I mean, I don't know that I've ever met a more carefree, fun-loving dude in the entire world than, Granville's finest, Scotty McLuhan. And, he went out there, he worked hard, he battled, physically. But, when the chips fell where the chips fell, I was just like, hey, whatever, man. And that's a testament to Scotty.
One love, baby.
And just, but his ability to just go along and
no doubt.
keep working and keep doing what his responsibility and role was going to be on the team. And you really get a lot of that out of the way when you're recruiting. What kind of kid is this? He talked to coaches. What was he like when he battled as a sophomore? Or as a freshman or whatever year that was. Tell me about when the chips were down. Tell me about that 3-loss stretch in his senior year. What was his mentality like? What was his attitude like? What was he doing with his teammates? You try to get all that information because at the end of the day, you want guys that are going to fight like hell. Right. To make themselves the best player they can be, and in turn, it's going to make everybody else around them better having to compete. But you also want them to understand that you might not play. You might not be the winner, and then what's your attitude going to be like then if somebody else has chosen or decided that they're better than you?
Outside of Scotty McLuhan had the perfect temperament for a backup quarterback.
100%.
I mean, he's the guy that you want coming in there to come in relief. Very skilled, very talented. You don't want to weigh him down with a lot of things on his mind. Just, hey, get in there and let him sling it. You know what? Because you get some guys that are hesitant and worried about making a mistake. Not my man, Scotty Mack. He, like Craig said, he was carefree. Hey, no one's expecting me to do anything in here anyway. Let's see what we can make happen. Yeah. And this is a good thing with Justin and Troy. Neither one of those guys had the temperament to really be a good backup quarterback. Yeah. That's not a negative thing. No, it's just they were both very competitive people. And you saw that manifest itself with Troy a little bit in the NFL where you accept it and you do your job and you help everybody and you're supportive of it. Mm-hmm. But Scott he competed, but he was never going to get bogged down with the minutia of anything else that was going on. Because if you're most of the time for the backup, you're waiting for that opportunity. Scott was ready, but I don't know if he was actually waiting.
There's a difference. When you're that guy and you get your chance and you're like, I got to go do this so I can go win that starting job. Yeah. I just don't know that urgency was there.
Yeah. So
there certainly will be for these three. I mean, you come in with these recruiting credentials and you know that the opportunity is there. Somebody has to be the quarterback for the Buckeyes. That's a big deal, of course, as you guys know. Those two have lived it down there. Bobby's been the quarterback of the defense. I'll just lump it in there. Next week is going to be the spotlight for him.
But it's easier defense. Every other position's a little bit different because you can rotate guys. You can't rotate quarterbacks. Right. And so it's okay.
You can, but it's terrible. It's the worst.
That is the number one thing if Ryan Day is listening.
Don't do that.
Pick
one guy.
It's tough.
Because you're not going to keep everybody happy by doing that.
No.
It's not fair to the other 10 guys on the field either. Because everything that these guys have talked about, the rhythm, the different routes that they might throw well. This guy likes to be in the pocket. This guy breaks the pocket sooner. I mean, I think one of the worst things you can do to an offensive line is play two different quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen for the Buckeyes, but we'll see. They're going to have those three out on the field in 11 days. getting going in spring ball. Can't wait to talk about that.
Will you guys be able to go to practices?
Well,
is that up in the air right now?
Every time that I have an opportunity in a platform, I just bring it up that they made some concessions last year during that revamped training camp to have some in the horseshoe so that we could be there. I'm not sure. It wasn't solely for us, but like,
come on, Austin. It was for you. Come on now.
I mean, I asked if it would happen, and sometimes that works. But we can't go in the Woody still. We're not tier 1 personnel.
Well, but if you get in that presidential Big Ten portal that I've been hearing so much about, where all of that communication happens.
Oh, they might be in there?
Yeah,
you might be able to,
Secret communication. I know you wanted to talk more about that, Bob. We'll save that for the off season. You can get
for
back
a rainy day.
I mean, this is the off season. What are we talking about?
Today we got spring ball.
We got spring ball coming up.
Spring ball.
Hold up. Here's all you need to know.
All right, do it.
So we have we have presidents, chancellors of universities of some of the biggest and most prestigious state institutions in the country.
Yep.
Who are sending emails to each other, talking about the Freedom of Information Act and about if they delete it, can you delete emails and how this works. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is the best that we have.
The brightest mind.
I understand you're a little older, but it's not like the email was invented yesterday. If this would have been 2005,
if you're going to ask that question, at least pick up the phone.
Well, yeah. You don't put it in an email.
Do it in person at your chancellor meeting, or
make the call. It's hey, that's a great question. Like responding, having dialogue.
It's like that one school board that I read an article where they were literally just bad mouthing every single parent.
No, the parents, I saw that. Yeah,
on a Zoom school board meeting where these parents are watching.
Yes,
it's like, come on, man.
You have access to that?
Yeah,
accountability.
It's wild, isn't it?
Just when you thought, like, after all that last summer, Bob,
couldn't get any crazier.
Asking for accountability, and they're like actively trying to avoid it.
Well, the best they say it's under. First of all, the fact that there was no other ability to communicate, and one of the not SIDs or whatever the PIDs, the Presidential Information Director, whatever. They're like, well, it was tough just to communicate simply in a reply all email. Like, you're telling me the best form of communication is an email chain where they're replying all. And like everybody has that. Like,
it's called burner phone.
Pretty sure we all
Goodness,
figured out how to use Zoom and FaceTime last year to the
people are frustrated because this is what I'm curious about. Football was going to happen, revised schedule, then went away, and then came back. And there was really no reason for any of those three things that happened. Now, you're ultimately happy with the outcome, but like I ultimately like to see the process that we got to these to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Like,
hold them accountable for how it went down.
Just, I mean, not that anything like this hopefully will never happen again, but there will be other situations and not like this, hopefully, but just in the future where there's going to have to be some degree of like decision making, and you don't get paid $1 million to be like, hey, we added a new major and a new minor to this program. This is great. Clap it up. You get paid to make either or decisions where costs, benefits. If we do this, this will happen. If we do this, this is going to happen. There may not be a good. It might be picking the least bad.
Yep.
And that's why you get paid the big dollars.
Bucks, that's right.
Like, not to sit out there. I could go call plays against Ball State in the third quarter, and we're going to probably still score 28 points in the second half. You get paid for the third down in the third quarter in the national championship Michigan game. Like, hey, they've been blitzing, they've been doing. Like, you have no idea what's going on. Like, that's what you get paid to do, the critical moments, not to sit out there and go cut a ribbon and smash champagne,
build a new building.
Yeah, Chris and the Flying Wasp and get that done. I mean, that's not what we're talking about.
Well, we said in real time that they weren't exactly inspiring confidence with their leadership, and now we're finding out that it's even worse than we thought. But
which we probably could have predicted back then. Anyway.
We could have, but I don't know that we would have thought that this exact scenario would have played out. But truth is stranger than fiction. There's still going to be spring football, so we're going to have a lot more to talk about there.
Austin Ward will be there covering it. All 15 days.
I wish. I've never been allowed.
You got to buy a U-Haul truck and just stand on top of it.
Can I get you?
Look over the fence.
Rent? We're going to talk to Will. We're going to get a big extension lift at Cherry Pit. We'll get it sitting out there.
Park it outside the fence.
Over top of the fence, just watching.
What I'm going to do is just go work out with you in the Woody, and then just hide. And
Coach, I haven't even broached that subject yet of getting back in there.
It's been a year for you now.
Yeah, and
Woody for that long.
And believe me, from 2002 to 2020. I'm positive I'm in the top 3. I think I might be number 1 in total hours logged in that building. There's been a lot of people that have come and gone, but I'm telling you this.
You had a 10-year head start on Urban. So.
I had a 10-year head start on Urban, so he couldn't catch me. Like, Doug Callahan, I think, is the only guy that has been in there longer than me, the head trainer, whatever, sports performance, whatever. Exactly. Bob Sweeney couldn't make. He's gone.
No, he's gone. I thought Doug was gone too.
The longest tenured
20 years.
attendee.
Man.
Sean Perkins, Doug Callahan, and then probably me. And I'm the only one that's actually working out in the weight room. The other two will tell you the difference, but they're not. Doing athletic things in an athletic facility.
All right, so Gene Smith and Ryan Day. Bobby and Austin need to get back in there. We've got some more to talk about here on Lettermen Live. Jay-Z, Craig Krenzel, Bobby Carpenter, Nicole Cox. I am Austin Ward. This has been Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. We'll be right back here next Monday to talk about the Ohio State defense.